It's no news that notable players leave their clubs only to make a surprise comeback years later. I mean, it's football, it's all part of the game. But while Barcelona fans keep dreaming of Lionel Messi's return to the Nou Camp, let's take a look at some of the most iconic returns in football history. One that certainly gave Chelsea fans a lot of hope was Romelu Lukaku's return to Stamford Bridge since his departure in 2014. At the time, he hadn't managed to break into the first team, which was quite a shame given his goal-scoring talents. The Blues faithful had tipped him to be the new Drogba, but that was not meant to be, as he was sent out on two different loan spells to West Brom and Everton respectively. Thanks to his impressive form with the Merseyside team in 2017, Everton decided to make his deal permanent, and he didn't disappoint. Meanwhile, Chelsea were craving to have their in-form striker back, as they were going through their number 9 curse at the time. But Lukaku was so hot that he eventually turned his back on his former club to sign for Manchester United. However, his time at United was filled with ups and downs, and it ultimately came to an end in 2019, after which he moved to Inter Milan. Things started to look better for Lukaku in Italy, as he was instrumental in Inter Milan's first Serie A win in as many as 11 years. And as you would expect, this rejuvenated Chelsea's interest in signing the Belgian striker all over again. After months of lobbying, Chelsea eventually convinced the big man to put pen to paper in a move that cost the Blues as high as £97 million. Imagine paying so much for a player who you once had in your grasp. Chelsea didn't mind though, because as long as Lukaku could bang in the goals, then it's money well spent. The Belgian gave the fans something to cheer about with a goal in his first match back against Arsenal. But that wasn't certainly a sign of good things to come. It didn't take long for Lukaku to have a public fallout with Chelsea's manager at the time, Thomas Tuchel, and things between the striker and the club went downhill from there. It got so bad that he became a regular feature on Chelsea's bench, with Tuchel preferring to play a fresh Kai Havertz instead. Lukaku left, and even though his return was iconic, didn't produce the results Chelsea had hoped for. One player whose return to Chelsea did turn out as planned was Didier Drogba. Without a doubt, Drogba is Chelsea's greatest striker, in the modern era at least. The big Ivorian scored the goals that helped Chelsea win as many as 10 trophies during his first spell with the team, which included his last 2 strikes of the ball, the equalising header against Bayern Munich in the Champions League final, and the penalty that won the trophy itself. This was the first time Chelsea won the UEFA Champions League, and with Drogba scoring the decisive penalty, the man who was already a fan favourite became an instant legend of Stamford Bridge. He left to play for Shanghai Shenhua and then Galatasaray, and after 2 years away, the fans were ecstatic to hear that he was coming back to the Bridge. The deal was sealed in 2014, and with Jose Mourinho back at Chelsea too, Drogba performed his magic yet again by helping them win another Premier League title. But championship winning goals or not, there are some players who are so iconic that the fans just want to see them play in their jersey one more time. Thierry Henry is exactly the type of player, and he had Arsenal fans in tears as he made his return to the club in 2012. Before then, he had broken their hearts by moving to Barcelona after Arsenal's disappointing Champions League final loss in 2006. But after a dull campaign with Barca, Henry made the move to the New York Red Bulls in 2010, where he had hoped to close out his already illustrious career. Little did the Arsenal fans know that his career wasn't over just yet, as he stunned the Gunners' fans by returning to the club in 2012. At this time, Arsenal strikers Marouane Chamakh and Gervinho were injured, and Henry agreed to step in to fill in the gap. Of course, he wasn't as electrifying as he used to be, but he did score a winner against Leeds United in an FA Cup encounter, and another winner against Sunderland in a league match. Another returning player who knows a thing or two about scoring goals is Robbie Fowler. He was so good at Liverpool. Unfortunately, Fowler had to say goodbye to the Reds in 2001 after deciding to play for Leeds United. 2 years later, he moved to Manchester City, but at this time, he was no longer the striker he used to be. City released him in 2006 due to his struggles with injuries, and that was the opportunity Liverpool needed to bring him back. He made his heroic return to Anfield, and even though he was already past his mid-30s, he would go on to rediscover himself by scoring 12 goals for his beloved club, which included a decent tally of 8 in the Premier League. Not bad at all, but not as good as Gareth Bale's 16-goal tally upon his return to Tottenham Hotspur. Bale was so impressive at Tottenham that Real Madrid didn't mind breaking the bank to get his signature. True to the hype, Gareth Bale played some of the best football of his career at Madrid by scoring crucial goals and delivering all-important assists. Unfortunately, Zinedine Zidane, who was Madrid's coach at the time, lost interest in the Welshman and kept him on the bench more times than he cared for. The handwriting on the wall was crystal clear. He had to go back to Tottenham, much to the delight of the supporters at White Hart Lane. He didn't disappoint either, as he banged in a total of 16 goals to mark his return. Another return that will always be memorable involves Wayne Rooney, who used to be the man at Everton after he had an entire stadium singing his praises when he scored a cracker of a goal in Everton's match against Arsenal in 2002. Alex Ferguson couldn't resist Rooney's talents, which is why he paid good money to bring him over to Manchester United the following season. season. Fast forward 13 years later, and Rooney had won 5 Premier League titles and a Champions League title with United. So with all this success and nothing else to prove, Rooney decided it was time to go back to his boyhood club. And what a return it was, as he became their top scorer in his first and only season back at Everton. In Rooney's case, a 13-year absence from his beloved club seemed just right. But for Sol Campbell, 3 years was just about as much as he could bear. Campbell was one of the most instrumental figures in Arsenal's 2004 Invincibles squad. The Gunners acquired his services in 2001, and after 5 fantastic years with the team, he decided to leave for Portsmouth, where he spent just 3 seasons. He moved on to Notts County, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but it seemed he was totally fed up with playing for small teams. He quit his new club just days after playing his first match with them, and decided to go back to Arsenal in a move that shocked the media and Notts County fans. Now, there is no player return in the history of football that was hyped as Ronaldo's second spell at Manchester United. The Portuguese captain first made a small name for himself at Sporting Lisbon, before being signed to Manchester United by Alex Ferguson. It was on from there, as Ronaldo wasted no time in becoming the best player in the English Premier League and the world as a whole. Of course, Real Madrid were watching his progress from the shadows, and after Ronaldo won his very first Ballon d'Or, Los Blancos decided it was time to swoop in. They did just that with as much as £18 million in hand, making CR7 the most expensive player in the world at the time. Fast forward 9 years later, and Ronaldo had left Madrid for Juventus, where he had won the Serie A title for the first time. But just 3 seasons later, he expressed his interest in moving to another club, and Manchester City were among the first to bid for his signature. Now, there was no way on earth Manchester United were going to let their City rivals steal away the greatest player in their history. So they too made a move on Ronaldo, and it was a no-brainer for the 5-time Ballon d'Or winner. His return to Manchester United was a fairy tale for the fans, who in their hundreds of thousands gathered in and outside the stadium to watch him play. Trust Ronaldo to give his fans a good show, as he scored 2 goals on his return to help United to a 4-1 win over Newcastle. So guys, are there any other iconic returns you'd like to tell us about? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Catch you in the next one.